My beloved soul, before we go deeper into this divine message, I want to gently remind you, if you find comfort, healing, and guidance in messages like this, do not forget to subscribe and stay connected. There are words waiting for your spirit, words that can transform your nights into peace and your mornings into light. Now, let us begin. Life is filled with choices. Every single day you wake up, you are presented with opportunities to walk closer to Jesus or drift further away at dawn. In His love, Jesus warns us, saying, avoid these three things at all cost, because these are not just ordinary habits. They are not just minor mistakes. They are poisons to the soul, thieves of your destiny, barriers between you and the promises of God. There are things that seem harmless, things that the world celebrates, things people justify by saying everyone does it, it's not that serious. But Jesus sees deeper than man. He sees the destruction hidden behind temporary pleasure, the tears that follow behind false joy, the brokenness that waits after disobedience. And so, in His mercy, He speaks, my child, avoid these three things at all cost. This message is not one of fear, but of love. It is not about restriction, but about protection. Think of a parent who tells their child not to touch fire, not because the fire is evil in itself, but because touching it will burn and scar. That is the voice of Jesus today, full of warning, full of care, full of eternal vision. The weight of choices, the decisions you make every day shape your tomorrow. Every word you speak, every action you take, every thought you entertain builds your future. Some choices lift you into purpose. Others chain you into regret. There are three specific dangers that Jesus emphasizes for His children to avoid. Three traps that look different on the surface, but share one mission: to rob you of peace, delay your destiny, and pull you away from God's presence. Beloved soul, this message will go deep, it will go long, and it will speak to different seasons of your life. Because the truth is, one of these traps may not tempt you today, but tomorrow it might. Another may already have its grip on your life, but today is the day of freedom. And the third may not seem dangerous at all, but if ignored, it will cost you everything. The first thing to avoid: bitterness and unforgiveness, Jesus says. Avoid at all costs the poison of bitterness and the chains of unforgiveness. Unforgiveness is not just an emotion, it is a prison. You may think you are holding someone else captive by refusing to forgive them, but in truth, you are the prisoner. Every time you replay the offense in your mind, every time you nurture anger, every time you feed resentment, you give away a piece of your joy. Bitterness grows silently. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It begins as a seed of disappointment, a betrayal, a word spoken against you. You tell yourself, I'll never forget what they did. And without noticing, that small seed grows roots deep into your heart. Suddenly, joy feels distant. Peace becomes fragile. You smile on the outside, but inside you are restless. Jesus knew this danger, and that is why He said, forgive not just 7 times, but 70 times 7. Not because the other person always deserves forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom. When you refuse to forgive, you hand over your peace to the one who hurt you. You allow the wound to remain open instead of healing. You allow your past to dictate your present. Worst of all, bitterness blinds you to the blessings right in front of you. Think about it. How many opportunities have been missed because someone's heart was too hardened to see clearly? How many relationships have been destroyed because unforgiveness became a wall? How many prayers have been delayed because bitterness filled the soul? Beloved soul, Jesus says, avoid bitterness and unforgiveness at all cost. Not because the pain you felt wasn't real, it was. Not because what they did was okay, it wasn't. But because your life is too precious to remain chained to the past. The second thing to avoid: pride and self-glory. A second danger is pride. Pride is the silent enemy of the soul. It tells you that you don't need God. It whispers, you can do it on your own. You don't need anyone else. You don't need guidance. You don't need humility. But pride always comes before a fall. pride builds towers that look strong but crumble at the slightest storm. It blinds your eyes to your weaknesses, convinces you that your achievements are yours alone, forgetting that every breath you take is a gift. Jesus, who had every right to boast, humbled himself. He, the King of Kings, knelt and washed the feet of his disciples. Why? To show us that the path to greatness is not pride, but humility. Avoid at all cost the temptation to seek self-glory. Avoid living for the applause of people, for their praise is temporary. One day they will shout Hosanna, and the next they may cry Crucify. If your worth depends on their approval, you will live a life of emptiness. Instead, seek the quiet approval of God. Seek the voice that whispers in the secret place, "Well done, my child." The third thing to avoid: secret sin and hidden compromise. The third danger is perhaps the most destructive because it works in silence. Jesus says, avoid secret sin at all cost. There are sins people boast about publicly, but then there are hidden ones. The compromise is made when no one is watching. The conversations carried out in secrecy, the habits you excuse because you say, it's not that big of a deal, at least nobody knows. But beloved, what you do in secret shapes who you are in the open. The hidden battles of the soul are the most important ones because they reveal who you truly are when the lights are off and the stage is empty. Secret sin kills intimacy with God. It fills you with shame, and shame pushes you into silence. You start to avoid prayer, avoid worship, avoid the word not because God has left you, but because guilt convinces you that you are unworthy, and that is exactly what the enemy wants. To make you hide. To make you run from the very one who can heal you. Jesus says, avoid secret sin at all cost, because nothing hidden will remain hidden forever. Sooner or later, what is in the dark will come to light, and what is whispered in secret will be shouted from rooftops. But there is hope. Jesus does not expose to shame, he exposes to heal. He reveals not to condemn, but to restore. The very moment you surrender that hidden struggle, freedom begins. Beloved, this is only the beginning. I have only started to open the depth of these three things to avoid at all cost: bitterness and unforgiveness, pride and self-glory, secret sin, and hidden compromise. Going deeper into the first thing, bitterness and unforgiveness, beloved soul. Let us sit with this first warning for a while longer, because forgiveness is one of the hardest commands for many hearts. Some wounds run deep. Some betrayals are hard to even speak about. Some people you trusted the most were the very ones who left you with scars that still ache in silence. Maybe you gave someone your heart, your loyalty, your faith, only for them to repay you with lies. Maybe you were faithful to a friend, only for them to turn their back in your time of need. Maybe your own family wounded you in ways strangers never could. When Jesus says forgive, he's not asking you to pretend it didn't happen. He is not asking you to minimize your pain. He's asking you to let him carry the weight so you can be free. Because bitterness is heavy. It doesn't just affect the heart. It seeps into your mind, your body, your relationships. It keeps you awake at night, replaying scenarios over and over, wishing you had said this, wishing you had done that, wishing the pain had not happened. But bitterness is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. The one who hurt you may not even remember what they did, yet you carry the wound daily, beloved. You were not created to carry such poison. Jesus whispers, give it to me. Let it go. Trust me with justice. Trust me with healing. It's like a locked door, and behind it lies your peace, your joy, your next blessing. The key is in your hand, but pride, pain, and anger keep you from turning it. Jesus says, turn it. Lock the door. Forgive. Not because they are innocent, but because you deserve freedom. And remember this, forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation. Some people are too toxic to remain close. Forgiveness means releasing them from your heart, not necessarily welcoming them back into your life. Sometimes healing requires distance. Jesus asks you to release the weight, not to chain yourself. Again, the layers of forgiveness is not always instant. Sometimes it comes in layers. You forgive today, but tomorrow, the pain resurfaces, and you forgive again. You forgive one memory, and then another memory comes, and you forgive again. This is why Jesus said 70 times 7, because forgiveness is a journey, not a one-time act. Each time you choose forgiveness, another chain falls off. Each time you release the offense, another wound begins to close. The enemy will whisper, "But what if they hurt you again?" Jesus will respond, "I will heal you again. My grace does not run out. My peace does not run dry." Beloved, your destiny is too bright to remain chained to yesterday's pain. Avoid bitterness and unforgiveness at all costs, because they rob your tomorrow before it even arrives. Going deeper into the second thing, pride and self-glorono, let us return to the second danger, pride. Pride wears many disguises, sometimes. It looks like arrogance, the loud, boastful person who believes they are above all others. But often, pride is subtle. It can hide behind false humility. It can appear as self-reliance. I don't need anyone. I don't need advice. I don't need God to intervene. I'll figure it out myself. But pride is dangerous because it blinds you to your weaknesses, convinces you that you are standing strong when in truth, you are standing on shaky ground. Think about a tree. A tree with deep roots can withstand storms, but a tree with shallow roots may look tall and strong until the wind comes. Pride is shallow roots. Humility is deep roots. Jesus, though he was the Son of God, humbled himself to serve. He healed the sick, not for applause, but out of compassion. He fed the hungry, not for recognition, but out of love. He washed the feet of his disciples, teaching us that true greatness comes not from being served, but from serving. Beloved, pride will make you reject help. Pride will silence you when you should ask for prayer. Pride will push you away from the very hands God sent to lift you up. Pride is a thief dressed as strength. Avoid at all costs the temptation to live for self-glory. The world teaches you to chase fame, applause, recognition, but all of it fades. It's the same mouths that cheer today can curse tomorrow. If your value depends on their applause, your heart will always be restless. Instead, live for the quiet approval of heaven. There is no sound sweeter than the voice of the Father whispering, "I see you, I know you. Well done, my faithful child." The trap of comparison, pride, often grows from comparison. You look at what others have, and suddenly what you have feels small. You see their success, and suddenly your progress feels slow. But comparison is a trap. It either feeds pride, making you feel superior, or it feeds envy, making you feel inferior. Either way, it robs you of gratitude. Jesus reminds you, "I have written a unique story for you." Do not despise your chapter by staring at someone else's page. Beloved, your journey is yours. Avoid the pride that comes from measuring yourself against others. The only true measure is this: are you walking in obedience to what God has called you to? Going deeper into the third thing, secret sin and hidden compromise. Now, let us return to the third danger, secret sin. Beloved, the most dangerous battles are not the ones fought in the open, but the ones fought in the silence of your heart. The enemy knows this. That is why he often tempts you not with public destruction, but with private compromise. He whispers, "It's not a big deal. No one will know. Everyone has weaknesses. Just this once." And if you are not careful, just this once becomes a habit. That habit becomes a pattern. A pattern becomes bondage. Secret sin builds walls between you and God, not because he stops loving you, but because guilt convinces you to hide. Instead of running to him, you run from him. Instead of confessing, you cover. Instead of surrendering, you pretend. But beloved, nothing hidden stays hidden forever. Light always reveals darkness. The whispers of the heart will one day be shouted. The cost of secret sin is always greater than the pleasure it gives. Jesus is not warning you to shame you. He is warning you because he wants to save you from destruction. Every time he says, "Avoid this," he is really saying, "I love you too much to watch you destroy yourself." The path out of secret sin is not shame, but surrender. The very moment you open your mouth in honesty and say, "Lord, I am struggling. Lord, I am weak. Lord, I cannot carry this alone. Freedom begins. A word of hope, beloved. Do not hear this message as condemnation, but as invitation. Jesus is not pointing at you with anger. He is reaching for you with love. If you are carrying bitterness, he says, "Come, I will heal you." If you are battling pride, he says, "Come, I will humble you with grace, not humiliation." If you are hiding secret sin, he says, "Come, I already know, and I still choose you." The consequences of bitterness and unforgiveness, beloved soul. Let us pause and look at the weight of unforgiveness in real life. It may seem like just an emotion, but in truth, it is a chain that stretches across generations. Think about families torn apart by bitterness. A parent refuses to forgive a sibling, and the children grow up learning division. Brothers stop speaking, cousins grow distant. One offense that could have been healed becomes a wall that lasts for decades. Think about marriages that collapse because one partner refuses to release past mistakes. Instead of healing, every argument digs up old wounds. And soon the love that was once strong becomes buried under resentment. Think about friendships, destroyed because of pride and offense. One misunderstanding, one careless word, one broken promise, never forgiven, never healed, and suddenly years of trust are gone. Beloved, unforgiveness doesn't just hurt the person who refuses to forgive. It poisons everyone around them, children. Learn bitterness from parents. Communities carry grudges. Churches split over offenses that could have been healed with humility and grace. This is why Jesus says, "Forgive so that you may be forgiven." Not because he wants to make forgiveness a burden, but because he knows the cycle it breaks. Forgiveness stops pain from multiplying. Forgiveness ends the curse of bitterness. Forgiveness heals not only your heart, but also the generations after you. The spiritual cost of unforgiveness. Forgiveness also has spiritual consequences. When you pray while holding bitterness, your heart is divided. When you worship while harboring resentment, your spirit is not free. You may lift your hands and sing, but inside your soul is chained. And the enemy loves this because he knows a bitter heart cannot fully receive peace. He knows that as long as you are bound by anger, you cannot fully walk in joy. Beloved, the enemy doesn't even need to attack you with new weapons when you carry unforgiveness, because the wound itself becomes the weapon. This is why Jesus urges you, lay it down. Release it. Forgive as I forgave you. Forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is spiritual warfare. It breaks the cycle of pain. It silences the voice of the enemy, declares, "You will not control me anymore. I am free in Christ." Consequences of pride and self-glory. No, let us turn again to the second danger. Pride destroys silently. It doesn't always break things suddenly. Sometimes it erodes slowly, like rust eating through metal. You don't notice it at first, but over time, the foundation weakens until everything collapses. Think of leaders who fell because of pride. They began with humility, serving faithfully. But as they grew in influence, pride whispered, "You don't need accountability. You don't need correction. You're untouchable." Soon they made choices that destroyed years of work in one moment. Think of families broken by pride. A husband too proud to say, "I was wrong." A wife too proud to say, "I forgive you." Two hearts that love each other, yet separated by silence because pride builds walls thicker than stone. Think of friendships that ended because no one wanted to apologize first. Pride convinces both sides that to say "I'm sorry" is weakness, when in truth, it is the greatest strength. Beloved, pride is the root of many downfalls. It was pride that turned an angel into Satan. It was pride that made humanity believe they could live without God. And it is pride today that convinces hearts do not need grace. But remember, the higher pride lifts you falsely, the harder. The fall, Jesus says, "Humble yourself, and I will lift you up. But if you exalt yourself, you will be brought low." The spiritual cost of pride. Pride does not only destroy relationships, it blocks blessings. When you are proud, you cannot receive. instruction. And when you cannot receive instruction, you miss the very wisdom God sends to guide you. Pride makes you deaf to correction. Someone may see danger ahead and warn you, but pride convinces you they are wrong. Pride blinds you to red flags, leading you into traps you could have avoided. Worst of all, pride blocks prayer. Because prayer itself is an act of humility. It is saying, God, I need you. But pride whispers, I can handle this on my own. And when you stop leaning on God, you start leaning on your own strength. And eventually your strength will run out, beloved. Avoid pride at all cost. Humility will never destroy you. Humility may lower you before people, but it will always lift you before God. The consequences of secret sin and hidden compromise now? Let us turn deeply to the third danger, secret sin. Beloved, let us be honest. There are battles many people carry in silence. Habits they cannot talk about. Thoughts they are ashamed to admit. Choices they regret but repeat. Secret sin is dangerous because it thrives in darkness. Like mold that grows in hidden corners, it spreads quietly until it takes over the whole house. Think about a person who looks strong on the outside, but struggles in secret. They may lead, they may sing, they may work hard, but inside, guilt eats at them daily. They smile, but inside, they're breaking. The consequences of secret sin are heavy. It steals your peace. You live in constant fear of being exposed. It steals your confidence. You avoid intimacy with God because you feel unworthy. It steals your time because instead of walking in purpose, you waste hours battling shame. Beloved, the enemy loves secrecy. He knows that as long as you hide, you will never heal. That is why he whispers, don't tell anyone. Keep it hidden. If people knew, they would reject you. But the truth is, secrecy is the chain. The moment you bring something into the light, whether in prayer or with a trusted person, the chain begins to break. The spiritual cost of secret sin doesn't only affect you, it affects your calling. It delays blessings, weakens your spiritual authority. It makes you question your worth. And yet Jesus says, I already know, I already saw, and still, I love you. Beloved, do not run from him in shame. Run to him in honesty. He is not waiting to condemn you. He is waiting to free you. Expose is not to embarrass you, but to heal you. Pulling the lessons together, so now we see clearly bitterness and unforgiveness chain the heart. Pride and self-glory blind the soul. Secret sin and hidden compromise drain the spirit. Each one may look different, but together they do the same thing. They separate you from the fullness of God's plan for your life. That is why Jesus says, avoid these three things at all cost, not at some cost, not when it's convenient, but at all cost. Because the price of holding on to them is far greater than the price of letting them go. The pathway to freedom, beloved soul. Now that we have uncovered the dangers of these three traps, bitterness, pride, and secret sin, is time to walk into the light of freedom. For Jesus never reveals a wound without also providing the healing. He never warns without also offering the way of escape. The truth is, you cannot overcome these battles by human strength alone. They are not just habits to break or choices to adjust. They are spiritual strongholds. And every stronghold requires divine power to pull down. That is why Jesus does not simply say avoid. He also says, come to me, all who are weary, and I will give you rest. Beloved, the way forward is not complicated, but it requires surrender. It requires honesty. It requires humility. And it requires trust. Step 1. Recognize and admit the struggle. The first step to overcoming is recognition. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. If you are carrying unforgiveness, admit it. Yes, Lord, I am bitter. Yes, Lord, I am hurt. Confess it. Lord, I have relied on myself. I have sought my own glory. If you are battling secret sin, be honest. Lord, I am weak. I have fallen. Beloved, honesty is not failure, is freedom. The moment you name the struggle, you take away the enemy's power of secrecy. Step 2. Surrender it to Jesus. Recognition alone is not enough. You must place the weight into the hands of Jesus. For bitterness. Pray, Lord, I cannot forgive on my own, but I choose to release this pain into your hands. Heal me where I am bleeding. Teach me to forgive the way you forgave me. Pride, pray, Lord, strip away my arrogance. Teach me humility. Remind me that every good thing I have is from you. For secret sin, pray, Lord, I give you my weakness. I cannot overcome this by myself. Cover me with your mercy. Wash me and make me new. Beloved, surrender is not weakness. Surrender is power because it invites heaven into your struggle. Step 3. Replace the old with the new. You cannot simply avoid something. You must replace it with something greater. Place unforgiveness with acts of kindness. Pray for those who hurt you not because they deserve it, but because it sets your spirit free. Place pride with service. Do something humble, even. When no one is watching, serve in silence, and let heaven be your witness. Replace secret sin with holy habits. Fill your mind with scripture. Surround yourself with godly community. Pour your energy into purpose. When you replace the old with the new, the enemy loses ground. Step 4. Surround yourself with light. Beloved, isolation is dangerous. The enemy thrives when you are alone in silence. That is why community matters. That is why accountability matters. Find people who will pray with you, walk with you, and remind you of truth when you forget it. A single coal removed from the fire will quickly grow cold, but coals together keep burning. Surround yourself with light. Step 5. Walk daily in grace. This journey is not about perfection, it is about progress. Some days you will stumble. Some days the old pain will resurface. Some days temptation will whisper again. But beloved, do not give up. Grace is renewed every morning. The love of Jesus does not expire. The cross still speaks louder than your failures. Walk daily in grace. When you fall, rise again. When you struggle, pray again. When you feel weak, lean harder on His strength. Hope for the future, beloved soul. Hear this. Jesus is not asking you to avoid these 3 things because He wants to take joy from you. He is asking because He wants to give you a greater joy. Heart free of bitterness is light and full of peace. A soul free of pride is humble, yet lifted high in God's favor. A life free of secret sin is bold, confident, and filled with purpose. This is the life He wants for you, not chains, not shame, not regret, but freedom. So today, remember His voice. Avoid these 3 things at all cost. Avoid bitterness and unforgiveness, it poisons the heart. Avoid pride and self-glory, it blinds the soul. Avoid secret sin and hidden compromise, it drains the spirit. And instead, walk in forgiveness, humility, and holiness. These are the paths that lead to peace. Beloved, as we close this long journey together, I pray these words echo in your spirit. For years to come, life will test you. Offenses will come. Pride will tempt you. Secret struggles will try to rise again, but each time, remember, you are not alone. Jesus is with you. His grace is enough. His mercy is new. His love never fails. Walk in this freedom, and you will see your destiny unfold with clarity. If this message touched your heart, if it lifted your spirit, if it helped you draw closer to Jesus, make sure you subscribe. Stay connected, because more words of healing, guidance, and encouragement are waiting for you. Together, we will keep walking this path of faith, hand in hand with Jesus.